Welcome back to the basement. Today we're going to be looking at our Aprilaire, which is our home humidification unit. So recently I was down here just doing some things and I heard a lot of rattling inside of here. And I decided to take this cover off, look in, and I noticed that the motor housing for the fan was completely cracked all the way around. So I guess over time, all the years of spinning and the hot temperatures that this faces just warped that plastic, started cracking from all the vibration, and that piece was toast. So I was thinking of calling, someone in to repair it, and then upon further inspection, it seems like a pretty easy fix. I ordered the part, and we're going to put that in today. For you guys that aren't familiar with these, again, they just put humidification in your air. So you may notice that if it's dry in the winter, or kids are having bloody noses, you put a humidifier in their room to help with the air, so it's a little bit more comfortable. This does it for the entire house, so it just pushes water from this copper line through a water panel, and I'll show the inside, and basically this fan blows it into the furnace, and then when all this hot air is coming up, it distributes it in the vents throughout the house. So I can take this apart and show you what's going on in a little more detail. Let's take the motor off. And this looks kind of grimy, so over time minerals deposit on here, and this is a water panel that I replace every year. Some people may clean them, but cheap enough piece that it should be no problem just to replace. You don't really have to worry about mold or anything. There's no standing water on here. So there's a water line that comes up. The solenoid valve opens and closes, lets the water up, and it drips through this tray, this water panel. And as that's doing that, the fan's pushing that water into the furnace, so again it can evaporate and go through. If there's any residual water that can't get through, it'll just go in this hose and then go to the floor drain. On the cold air intake, then there's a humidistat that's going to measure the humidity in the house and then know when to fire this thing on and off. Or you just may turn it off like in the summertime when you don't need that extra humidification. But in the winter, this has been crucial. So this thing maybe has been broken a week or two. A couple weeks. So I've just disabled it. We're not using it right now, but everything's going to hell in this house. I didn't know how we survived without it. Hands are extremely dry, face, everything's itchy. We're getting shocks wherever we go. And I even noticed, some of our cabinetry and dressers, the wood warps when it loses its humidity or maybe gets too much. And you'll notice that in some of your furniture. And so they say over time that you can actually do damage to your furniture, cabinets, wood, because of cracking and other things that can happen. So this is vital, not only maybe for the health of your house, but people as well. So there's research that this helps with preventing colds and viruses from transferring to people. Again, that's the skin comfort, your respiratory, as long as the humidity is not too high as well. So this, I don't think will ever allow the humidity go over 45% relative humidity in the house. So then you're not going to have mold, you're not going to have condensation on the windows. So it does hit a peak that it can't go past, just for the safety of your house, and so you don't get mold or things growing in your house as well. So this generally keep it between 35-45%, only ran in the winter, and that does a fantastic job. Right now with this out, we've been dipping to around, I think the lowest I've seen is 19% in our house, and definitely feeling the effects from that. So I've lived most of my life without one of these, but I'll never do it again. As long as I'm in the northern climate during the winter, I'm going to own one of these units. This could use a little bit of cleaning. Again, next year I'll get a new panel, but all we got to do is get this thing working again, and I'm going to show you how. Alright, so here's the unit. And I can just show you again. You saw this outside. So this is the outside of the unit. And you can already hear the rattling around because this plastic in here is totally caving in. And maybe if I can get this fan off, I can show you better detail, but it's kind of hard to see. But here, we'll get our screws off. I already started a couple, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I think I did some quick checking on YouTube, and I don't know if I saw any other videos showing how to replace the motor housing for these units, which maybe maybe it's the first. it seems like there's a million videos for every single thing on how to install these, how to put in a fireplace. But I didn't see any for this exact task, so maybe I'll be the first, and that'll be kind of fun. So I'm going to just set this shell aside. And there's a little clip here for this wire that needs to go to the unit. So I'm going to just take that out. Let's see. Can I hang it up on anything else? Okay, this piece can go. I'll reuse that later. And now I can really show you. See that gap right there? This should be sitting flush. So that whole thing is cracked all the way around. You can see the motor sticking right out. So that thing is toast. And so this is the piece that I had to buy, which was, I think, 57, 58 bucks. Here, I'll set this aside and we'll open it. See if they sent us the right thing. Never did an unboxing before. There it is. They did say that, this is white. They only make white units now, where this is more of a beige. So it's the same piece. They just decided not to make both colors anymore. This sits on the inside, and I guess I cannot argue with them on that. So now we got to figure out how we take the rest of this apart. So I do see what appears to be a little pin there, keeping that blade on. And I'm going to have to do, looks like 4 bolts on this plastic just to get this motor completely off. And if we look at the back, you can see there's a little control board here that I'm going to have to pry off. I think there's a couple screws going through here that attach that. So I'll remove this piece, make sure all the wiring's clean, and see if we can rock and roll. My hands are so dry from not having any humidity in this house. Looks like I'll carefully take these wires out, make sure I get them in the exact same spot, because I have to feed them through a hole. Let's see if... so it looks like they don't even do that hole on this one. They just do this little cutout. So I guess that's a little better design, because then you don't have to take all these apart, feed them through, and put them back on again. I'll just have to make sure that I put that on exactly the same way. So maybe let's start with... Let's see, what would be the best way to start with? Oh, and then I'm seeing that some wires are still fed through this hole on the bottom here. So I'm going to take this off. That looks like a strange... Maybe it's just because there's a bunch of minerals in there. That's why it looks so weird. How about 1/8? Eureka. Alright, so let's get this blade off. Okay, we'll set this aside. What's still holding you on? Okay, piece of cake. Okay, now you can see kind of what I'm dealing with here. I'm going to see if now I can get a socket on there. And 4. Okay, take this off. Junk. All right, junk. Let's see what we got going on here. All right, so we're still attaching a few spots. So we got brown, yellow, brown, yellow. I'm not an electrician.
I'll just take the control board off. You know how easy way to do this without hitting the wires. You know, since the new one has a notch, I don't need to take all these wires apart. I'm just going to break it carefully without hitting those wires. Look at that. Ha ha ha. That's how a professional does it. Okay, so we should be able to take everything off. This piece, garbage. Okay, now we're cooking gas. So I did cheat, and I broke this on the last one just to get that wire out. I'm probably going to have to do something a little bit more official than that. So let's just look at what we got here. We're going to put this new board in. And we have to take this nut off right here so I can feed the green through. Okay, I see how this goes. Okay, I'm just marking that one as right. I don't know if it matters which one's right or left. But now I have video evidence. Boom. All right, now I can take this out. Snake it out of here. Okay, so those two are for the motor. Then we have what looks to be a ground here. So we'll just take that one off quick. Okay, get the ground off. And we have that piece completely off. Okay, now we need to free these two so we can get them through that hole. So white and black. So again, I did this before, so I don't have to remember. I'm marking the right one. Hopefully these come off easy. Okay, set the control board aside. And now I'll feed everything through this new hole. Let's see what I gotta do here. All right, so I'll feed all these wires through, curl them up in there. Not too shabby. See if this plug kind of fits back in this spot. And it looks like it's just gonna push on through, which is good. Piece of cake. Okay. Now we'll put the control panel back. Before I start putting wires, I'm just gonna attach this so it doesn't shift on me. Gives me a little bit more stable ground here. Okay, so it's coming together. Not too bad. So these wires are just gonna fit in this groove. We'll put our ground back on, so that should be a piece of cake. Now I'll tell you, I didn't look at any instructions online on how to do this, but when I opened it up, it seemed pretty self-explanatory. And again, this may be the only video that YouTube has specifically of doing this, so I'd love to be a first. But we're gonna put our positive and neutral on here. So I marked this one to go on the right side, or at least my right, what's facing me. I got our ground, and I knew it went opposite of this white dot. Just do everything kind of the same. Put on this little nut. Come on, you. Okay, we got the ground on. And I did put some marker on which one should be on the right side. Thank the Lord that didn't rub off. All right, so we'll put these back on. We got all the wires attached the way they came. Good, now we're gonna turn this unit over and start bolting stuff together. Okay, how's that looking? And we'll probably do them kind of like lug nuts on a car, where we kind of go around, tighten them all up a little bit, and then we'll just kind of do a pattern all the way around to get an even tightness. Can you believe that? I broke the effing screw. What kind of hunk of junk is this? Come on. Do you think I can operate this thing fine with 3 screws? That wasn't even that tight, and that thing just broke right off. Cheap, cheap, cheap. How much play is this going to have with... You know, it seems fine. I'll nurse these other 3. Okay, I'm not going to go any tighter. That is a shame. That is a shame. What a hunk of junk. Come on. Really? Give me a break. I'm just trying to do this myself. We're going to get to a point where I just have to replace the whole unit. That's going to suck. But I guess it'd make for another good video, right? Alright, let's get this thing put away. We're going to say a prayer. We're going to watch this thing. You know, make sure it doesn't have any crazy reactions. Maybe I can beef that up somehow. I don't know what I'm going to do. Boy, that's a good question. Tap it out, put a new one in. Always an adventure, right? Alright, let's put this back together. Make sure this cord fits through the side here. We're just going to set it in. Hopefully everything kind of just seats into place, and that does feel good. We do have to make sure we get our fan back on, so we'll do that right now. So there is a slot where it's supposed to go on, or it's a flat on one side, so we're going to figure out where that is. Okay, we'll push it on. And it was flush before, so we're going to make sure that's flush. Whee! Okay, now we put this baby in. All right. That feels tight. Should I give it a little extra wrench? What would happen if this thing came off when I was trying to run? Probably nothing good, right? Okay. We got the wire out, the fan on. Say a little prayer, right? Get this piece back on. Hold her in. Make sure there's no contact with that plastic, which there isn't. And then we gotta snake this clip back in. No problem. Okay, so it clips in nicely, so when this unit shuts against the furnace, that'll make the electrical connection there. And it looks to me, all we need to do is screw this puppy back in. So let's see how that goes. Okay, we got one screw here. And of course the other one's over here. Hiding on me. If you guys have genius ideas for me on how to fix that screw, leave them in the comments. I don't know if that's the thing where I gotta tap it out, I leave it, brace it with something else, I don't know yet. And I may have to look at the video to see kind of what that looked like from the other angle, just because I don't want to take this all apart right now. And I'd like to get some humidity back in the house. Hopefully we don't have a catastrophic failure on our hands, and I'll just keep checking it every couple days, see how it's holding up. But darn it, why'd that have to happen? Or if you guys think 3 screws is going to be tough enough, tell me that too. But hey, we are done. Now let's go hook it up. Alright, from here on out everything should be pretty simple. We got the fan back in. It seems stable. You know, it's not unbroken plastic anymore, but we lost one of the bolts, so we only have 3 holding right now. I may figure out some
Interesting idea to reinforce that at a later date. But I'm out of solutions right now. This is something I have to think about or look forward to your comments. But I think this is going to be strong enough. So basically, this will hook up here. And it snaps. Got my plug. Put it back into this outlet dedicated for the furnace. And that's all she wrote. So I'll take you back over here. So this knob, I keep it at 5. So we'll see how that goes. And now I'm going to turn on the furnace. So I got a little app where I'm going to turn the temperature back up of the house. Beautiful. And we have an issue because water's dripping out. We're going to make sure that water panel is snapped in. I don't know if it is. We're just going to flip this. Oh boy. So this panel wasn't sitting in there nice. We got to fix that. See, learn from me, people. Alright, so this wasn't pushed in there correctly. So the beauty of video is I'm going to be able to go back and look at this, but Aprilaire, if you're listening, yes, this water panel, you know, it sits down in this hole for the drain, but there's no way that this clips in here. That'd be a handy feature. So I guess I didn't make sure that this was fully in before I put that cover on, so I'm going to do that now. But with the furnace on and all that air blowing out this way, this thing would not stay back. So I turned the furnace off to make sure I'd seat this back as best as I can, and I'm going to get that cover on and try everything all over again. Do you think it's on there right? Say a prayer. Okay, we're going to fire it up again. I think we did it. I think we did it. Alright, so mission accomplished. We got everything done that we needed to, not without some hiccups. So I wish that housing for the motor didn't break in the first place. Easy replacement, you know, just moving a few wires and fiddling with things. But then, yeah, we had one of those bolts break from where the motor attaches to that piece of plastic. I wish that didn't happen. I don't know if that's going to hurt me in the long run or if I'm going to have to improvise something, tap it out, put a new one in. But I'm just going to keep an eye on it for a few days. And then you saw, you know, we had a little water spillage, so that water panel wasn't pushed all the way back there. That honest mistake. Glad I stayed down here and watched it for a little bit and saw some water drip out. So that was an easy fix. Turn the furnace on, push that in properly. But again, maybe something to be desired for the design on these things. And you know, maybe the newer models are a little different, but I know this Model 700 is pretty popular and used in a lot of homes. So, but you know, it does the job. It's getting water in the air, and that's what we need right now, especially in this winter in Wisconsin where everything's so dry. We've been below zero for weeks now, and it's not going to let up anytime soon. So glad we got this going again, and we're going to be a little bit more comfortable. Lights.